Hi, everybody. It's Kathy Ondas with Simply Cards by Kathy, and I'm excited to be here with you tonight to make some really fun cards using the flowering rain boots. So wait just a second to let people get on, and if you can hear me and see me, please leave me a message. I would love to make sure that you're able to see and hear everything. So So what we're going to do is we are going to do two cards using the Flowering Rain Boots bundle. And then afterwards, I'm going to show you a couple others. This is one of my favorite stamp sets and dies. I just love it. And especially as we're going into spring, it's really makes some beautiful cards. And this is one we're going to do today. This one is using paper from Sunshine and Rainbows. And we're not going to use that tonight because once celebration is over, we're not supposed to use the paper to show you because that isn't something you can buy. So I'm going to show it to you using the Flowering Tulips paper, the paper that goes with the Flowering Tulips bundle. And we're going to go with that. And then the second card is going to be a very similar card, but we're going to change it up a little bit and use some scraps from designer series paper that I had left over rather than stamping a lot of the images. So we're going to go ahead now, and I'm going to move this off to the side here. And I'm going to bring in the catalog. This is the mini catalog, just to show you that on page 30 is where this bundle is. And don't forget, if you get it as a bundle, it comes with the stamp set, which is Flowering Rain Boots. And also with the Rain Boot dies, you get 10% off the bundle. And it is a really fun bundle. So I'm going to move that off, and we're going to get started. Now, I'm going to show you the dies. These are photopolymer dies, and I have a couple already on my blocks for us to stamp. And you can see that the dies sometimes will pick up some color from the reds and the purples, even though if you clean them with the stamps here, except you have this really pretty edge that you can cut out. And I'm going to show you that on one of the other cards in the end. And then the rest all coordinate with the stamp set here. So I'm going to move these off, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I did a lot of the prep work ahead of time because I wanted to be able to do two cards with you rather than one. So I am going to stamp a few things just to show it to you. But overall, I want to do the cards and be able to show you how to change this up a little bit. So everything with this card has been stamped except the inside. And so I'm going to pull in a piece of scrap paper because these stamps are very detailed. And I just love them, that the way that they show like shadows and some depth to it. I'm piercing that because, again, I want to get a nice crisp image. I'm just going to ink this stamp up. And usually when they're small like this, I just ink them tapping into the ink pad. And then just press down and straight up. And look at that beautiful, nice image. It shows some shadows in that. I really love that. And I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to show you the leaves. And again, these will all match up with the dies, and I'll pull those out for a minute just to show you. And I'm just going to stamp this here. And again, really pretty images. So if we were to bring in our and I've done this all before, bring in our dies, you would just go ahead and cut them. Now, one thing I just want to tell you that I tend to use when I'm cutting my dies, because I like to make sure they don't move around and I get don't cut off any of the image or get too much white on the edge. I do use this Post-it labeling and cover-up tape. For me, it works better than washi tape. I put it down and it lifts up really easy and doesn't tear the paper at all. So that's just a quick tip for you. So I'm going to move this over and let's get started. I will have all the measurements to the cards down below in the video and over on my website. Give me about an hour when this is over and everything will post. So we are using So Saffron. And I see that I forgot to score this. So let's score this really quick. This is an 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. And this card's going to be landscape. So let's move this out of the way, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to burnish this with my bone folder just so we get a nice sharp edge and that the edges are even. I hope you all had a great day. We're going into a weekend and we're in March. So hopefully things are looking up for everybody. So here's our card base. And I wanted to add a little bit of dimension to this. So the paper I'm using, I had mentioned to you, is from the Tulips. So I'm just going to pull this in and show you. When I get my papers, I cut little like 1.5 inch squares and put them down with the matching or coordinating cardstock. So this is one that I'm using from the Tulip paper. This is 3.5 by 5.5. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but I embossed it with the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. I love that folder. I love it just like I love the Subtle 3D folder. But since that's retired, this is really my go-to for embossing for cards. So we're gonna attach this to our card base, and I'm just going to add some glue. And the reason I use the glue is because with the embossing folder and all the little crevices in there, I find the tape doesn't work quite as well. So let's see if I can get this started here. Yeah, okay, there we go. So I want to get it all the way around the edge, and I do put a little bit in the middle too. Again, because of the crevices, I want to make sure that this is going to stick and not lift up. Now, when I use the basic white and I'm embossing and doing a couple layers, I do use the regular basic white. I don't use the thick because I try not to add more weight to the card than I need to. So again, that was 3.5. Now this piece of Designer Series paper is 3 by 5.5. So we're going to go ahead and attach this. I love this paper. And just try to get it even and make sure that all the edges adhere, because otherwise it's really easy to lift up with the embossed underneath it. So I have all my pieces parts here. And what I want to do is bring in my pots. And I want to have one pot setting looking like it's set back and one forward. These were stamped and die cut, but they were stamped on the shimmer white. So I don't know if you can see the little bit of sparkle to them, but it really does add something. So this one is going to be flat, but I want to put the leaves in here. So we have our leaves, and the flowers. And the colors that I used for all this were so saffron. This one I believe is, what is that one? That one is Mango Melody. And then my colors that I pulled in were 3 from the 2021-23 colors: Fresh Freesia, Soft Succulent, which is my favorite green, and Polished Pink. And then Smoky Slate was used for the pots and for the watering can. So I'm going to go ahead, and what I want to do with this is, I don't know if you can see, but there's almost like an area where I can cut that in half. And that's what I'm going to do, because I want to fit this half, the larger half of the stems, into this pot. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that around and set that off and use it for something else at some point. And then you can do this one of 2 ways. You can take your pot, and what I'm going to do here is just go in with my snips, and I'm going to just cut a line through here, because you aren't going to see it once we get the flowers down. And I want to make sure it's wide enough. So what I did is cut that with my snips. Now, the other thing you can do is put it in your paper trimmer and do that. So you can see there's where my stems are going to go. And I'm just going to turn that over, and I'm just going to add a very small piece of Scotch tape to that to hold it in place. And like I said, a small piece. So just going to add that to the back. And then we have that ready to adhere down. So let's glue this one down. And we're going to use our multi-purpose glue for that. And I'm going to move all these colors off here. And this is going to be our pot that looks like it's back, a little bit back in the background. Move that over just a little bit. Okay, and then with the tulips, it's the same thing. Now, if you were stamping, and I'm going to bring this in and just show you. If you were stamping the stems, then your tulips fit right on the stems so that everything fits perfectly. They're lined up. But because I'm only using part of my leaves and stems, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim these 2 off. And then I want to, because this has just a little bit of a point here, I want to round this edge because this is going to be out front. So here's my flowers, but I want to use this little piece so that it kind of sticks up in the back. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on with some glue. And then we're going to pop the others up with some dimensionals. So there's our tulips there. And then I'm going to pull in my little small dimensionals. Excuse my hand in the way. And we're going to go ahead and pop these up so that those look like they're in a background. I have to tell you, Stampin' Dimensionals in this house are everywhere. I recently posted in our Stampin' Up group that, because we're always joking how we find things everywhere through the house. And the one day I have a golden retriever, he came up to me, and on the center of his nose was one of these backs from the Stampin' Dimensionals. So I had posted that online, and that's really very typical of a day here. He's always picking up something that I have. So let's bring this back in, and then you can see we're just going to set that in around the stems, and you can see you have the 2 tulips up above. So now I want this pot to look like it's in the foreground. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pop this pot up, and you can see I had restamped it, and you just turned it over, which I do a lot if I make a mistake. And we're just going to pop this up here right in the front. That's a little bit crooked. Let's just straighten that out. Perfect. All right, now our next flower I did in the fresh freesia, and they kind of look like daisies. And all I wanted was for those to kind of hang over the pot. So we're going to pop those up with Stampin' Dimensionals just up on the top. So let me, so I don't want to put anything on the bottom here because it'll not be, it'll be too high. And won't be symmetrical with the pot. So let's just see what we can do with this. And then I'm going to put just a touch of glue right on the bottom here. Now you could use a glue dot if you wanted to, because that's going to hit my pot here. There we go. So there's our flowers, and now here is our flower pot. And the whole idea with this card is I really wanted this to look like it was being poured to water the flowers. So this also is going to get popped up with Stampin' Dimensionals. And then we'll go from there. Now, when I did the handle of that pot holder, what I did is I cut into my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I simply cut out just a piece, like a half a piece, to make sure, and I trimmed it because that point will stick out, because I didn't want that little handle to get pushed down and smashed as it goes through the mail. So we're going to go ahead and put this on. I hope you're all having a great day and have some great plans for this weekend. I want to remind you that through the month of March, one of the special for Stampin' Up! Is the mini embossing, cut and embossing. Oh my gosh, my mind just blanked. The Stampin' our cut and emboss machine, the mini one. All right, so it is 20% off, and there are 10 different bundles that are also 20% off. So take a look at that, and if you need the mini, which I did not have, and I just ordered it, and mine came yesterday, and I used it all day long today. I've had the big one, and I really love that mini one. It's very lightweight and easy to carry with you. So I have here the silver and clear epoxies, and you can see that they look like little raindrops here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those and I'm going to put those down. I want those to look like there's water coming out of the, let's see if we can get those up. The little buggers are sticky. Okay. Let's try, let's try this again. Usually they come right up. Let's try an end one. There we go. If nothing else, go with your scissors. Oh, I'm having trouble with that today. I apologize. So let's take this, and I'm going to just use my finger. And I want this to look like a raindrop, like it's coming from the end of the watering can. So I'm just going to kind of turn it a little bit, and let's get another one here. And I'm just going to drop it here on the flower. And we're going to do one more because I always like to do threes. And I think I'm just going to take it right here and turn it so it's right side up. So there's our raindrops. Isn't that cute? I love that. Now, one of the things I did differently on this card that I don't often do is I stamped my greeting right on the paper. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And the greeting I'm going to use is Live Life in Full Bloom. And I'm going to do that with my Tuxedo Black Memento ink. So let's bring that in here. Ink this up well. And I'm going to stamp off just to make sure that I am straight, which looks good. Those of you that follow me know I've often said I don't do much of anything straight. So I am going to open up my card, and I am going to bring my piercing mat back in to stamp on. And make sure that my card is straight so that I get a straight image. And I'm going to go in right here. And that looks really good. So there's the outside of our card. I love it. And then we're going to do the inside. The inside is a piece of 5 1/8 by 5 3/8. I'm sorry, by 4 1/8. And I'm not going to stamp an internal greeting. But what I am going to do is stamp a pot, and I'm going to use the gray, just like I did when I stamped the pots for this card. So I'm going to bring that in. We're just going to go ahead and ink that up. Stamp it in the corner. And then I did do another one of these in the Fresh Freesia. And I'm going to pop it up. No, I'm not, because I don't want that to stick up. What I'm going to do is glue that down because I have enough pop-ups on the front of the card. So I don't want it to be too bulky for mailing. So I'm going to go ahead and put this right here. And you can see it's overlapping. And then what I'm going to do is just take my paper snips and I'm going to trim that off. And then I'm going to glue this to the inside of my card. Let's get our mat out of the way again. And this first card is done. I like to use Ace because I like just a little bit of an edge on the around it. So here's the inside of our card for a personalized greeting, and here's the outside of our card. So there's our first one. So we're going to do the next one. It's going to be very similar, but we're going to change it up a little bit using Designer Series paper for some of the elements on that card. So I'm going to bring this in, and what we're doing is using this time Pool Party as our base. So I'm going to bring this in, and let's just get this folded and off to the side to start off. All right. Now I did very similar to the other card. I did double embossing, again white, and this is so saffron. So I wanted to stay with the colors. But how did I pick my colors? I had scraps of paper, and I believe this may be from Patterned Party. If not, it is from Sunshine and Rainbows. And what I did is I wanted to, the inspiration for this is that my sister-in-law has this huge pot that she uses in summer that is so decorative and colorful that I've admired that pot for a couple of years. So I thought, let's try doing some fancy pots. So I went ahead and used the dies, and I cut everything out with just the dies, and thought, well, let's see how the card turns out. And I have to admit to you, I did not make that card ahead of time using designer series paper. So it's going to be a surprise to you as well as me. So we're going to go ahead and do these layers, and you can see that this is a quick card. It really is. And I just love, and I'll show you some others that aren't, that are from that stamp set when we're done here in a minute. But it just makes, you could make get well cards, birthday cards, probably some just hello, how are you cards. I just love this set. Okay. So we have this down, and does that look straight? Yeah, pretty straight. There we go. All right. And again, I want to make sure that this stays down, because I will admit I've had this lift up. So we're going to take our pots, and again, same thing with the leaves. I'm just going to trim this off. And I suppose I could just tape that behind there, but I really like the fact that it went in the pot, because it looks like it's coming from it. So again, I'm just going to make a slit using my, and there's those darn Stampin' Dimensionals on my scissor. Like I said, they are everywhere. And going to go ahead and put this in. So there's our slit. Again, going to take a little piece of tape here to hold that down. And then we're going to glue this down. If you're out there watching, if you've used this set before, I'd love to hear what you think of it. I absolutely love it. Now, this card, I use some different colors before we go any further. With this, I use the Magenta Madness because that's what's in my paper. And I use Mango Melody. So you can see that these tulips are a little bit brighter. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim them off. And when you're doing something like this, it's almost like paper piecing, but use what you have. You see me using the tulip paper. You see me using either Pattern Party or maybe even what was left from Sunshine and Rainbows. The idea is for you to use what you have, especially in these times when we're having problems with shipping and that. I don't ever want to show you anything that you can't do just because you don't have the same product. My whole idea for you is to be able to use what you have and just substitute something to come up with something similar. So if you have the Rain Boots set, you don't have to have the same paper I do. Look at what you have that's current or even retired for that matter, and use what you have. And you're going to have, your product is going to be, your card's going to be just as pretty as what I'm using. You don't have to have everything the same. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit. There's our tulips. Okay, now for this pot, I'm going to bring in this, I don't know, Magenta Madness with the Mango Melody. And this one's going to get popped up on Stampin' Dimensionals. So they were just here. There they are. So let's go ahead and pop this up. And using some different colors, and this is going to overlay so that it looks like that other pot is in the background. And then I'm going to take these and again Stampin' Dimensionals just on the top, because the bottom is going to have a touch of glue that'll grab onto that pot there. So if you like the video and you're on YouTube, I would love if you'd give me a thumbs up and help me grow my channel. And then, oops, we lost our watering can. Where did it go? Here it is. And help me grow my channel. And will be on live twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. I'll always post it up ahead of time. I'm on tonight in place of yesterday because we had a family where my grandson starred in a play, and he's only 9 years old, and it was really important for me to be there. So I went to my grandson's play and scheduled this for tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here. I think we're good to go on this. And one more. I'm going to just bring my pot in right here. And let's grab these little raindrops that were so hard to use and see if we can get them a little bit easier on this card than we did on the other one. They are stubborn little buggers. Well, let's see if I can get them this way. Okay, my hand's in the way because the pick tool wasn't working. So just going to bring this down a little bit. There we go. I love these little droplets. I made this card originally for our group. We had a retreat, and I was asked to make 3 cards using this set and then tutorials for everybody. So this was one of the cards that I made, and I just had so much fun making it. I wanted to share it all with you. So I'm going to go ahead and put this, turn it around a little bit. Hopefully my head isn't in the way. Okay, so there's that. Now, with this, because this is embossed, I really can't stamp on that. I could have if I'd have done it before. So what I'm going to do is I stamped a greeting, and it's trimmed off about as much as I can. But I thought I'd try and fussy cut it a little bit. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to adhere that right to the bottom of the card. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with fussy cutting. I am not one of the best fussy cutters, but I've been getting better. And the whole trick is to turn your paper and not your scissors. That way you get a smooth cut, and it looks a little bit better. So again, just gently turn your scissors. And I've been doing this more and more just so I can get better at it. So there is our greeting. I'm going to pop that up with a dimensional. I do use a lot of dimensionals, and we're just going to put this right in here. I brought out my brass butterflies, my brushed brass butterflies, and I thought it might look cute to put one just up in the corner by the tulips. So let's take one of these. I'm going to take a small one, and let's see, let's just put them right about here. Okay. So there's the outside of that card, and the inside is going to be the same. However, I cut some extra pots. I am going to leave it blank. So I'm going to take a pot and I'm going to adhere the pot down rather than stamp it. It's just a little something different. And then I'm going to take my daisies and I am going to glue those also down because I don't want any extra bulk, especially on the inside of the card, since I already have quite a few Stampin' Dimensionals on the front. So just going to put this here. Again, I'm just going to go in with my snips, turn this over and trim this off. And then we're going to adhere this to the inside of our card. So just some really fun cards and not hard to do because you can do the stamping or you can cut out your die cuts and then just put your card together. So, and again, I like the glue because it allows you to slide it into place if you need to. There we go. So here's our two cards. Let's bring them back in. One, everything is stamped, and one where we use some scraps of paper to make some fun looking pots. And this is the one I showed you that I started out with. So there's those three cards. And I'm just going to move those off, and I'm just going to show you a couple others I made with this set just to give you an idea, because I'll be doing something with the rain boots coming up in the next week or so. So here's another one using the rain boots, and I use the masking technique for that. And here's another one where I use the die cuts and again cut into the boots to get my stems in there. And then there is that diamond die that I showed you earlier that I took and put in as for the inside. So lots of fun cards. So I hope you enjoyed tonight. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you again on Monday. Have a great day. Bye.